Hey guys, Darren Carr here, Coach of Wise Ocean Pod, and welcome back to another episode of our round review series. On today's episode, we will be reviewing round 10, and what a weird and wacky sort of round that was. We saw some huge scores from like a Rowan Marshall 170, to some very underwhelming scores from a lot of primos. So I'm feeling a lot of the pain for most of you guys that do have those primos, like myself. But yeah, let's just get into how my team quickly did. Quickly just want to skim over this because if you see my rank, I'm sure most people will jump off. So I scored a 2066, so very underwhelming again. Round rank of 36,000 in that range, and then I've dropped back another 2 or 3,000 spots. Now I'm nearly outside the top 10k, so 9,982. So yeah, very underwhelming, and yeah, I don't remember being this far out in a long time. So probably since my first or second year in playing our fantasy, so it's just been a super weird year for me, just playing around with the rucks. But let's see why I've scored this badly. So in the backline wasn't too bad. Nick Martin did pretty well. Brought in Luke Ryan, as I said I would do for Sheasel. That turned out pretty well. Whitfield did alright. Hayden Young did alright. Bonner did pretty good. Happy with all that. Had to field a Blake Cowes, so 50 probably wasn't what I was expecting from him at the end of the day. I thought it was a good matchup. I thought he could probably put 60 to 70, so it's probably 10 points unders. It's not too bad at the end of the day. Probably the one I'm missing out on here is probably a Nick Dacos, who scored 115. That probably hurt a little bit. Moving on to the midfield, this is where I took a lot of points. Merritt 78, terrible. In an easy matchup too. I know he got tagged, but still, that's piss poor effort from him. He's much better than that. Butters was my best performing midfielder, 112. I was happy with him. Same with Oliver, 94. It wasn't 98, but he did drop a tackle. But I'm happy with him as a trade-in. Bontempelli, 71. Again, piss poor. I think he got a little bit of attention, but it wasn't anything too major. And then Green, 83. That's just below par again for what was an easier matchup for him. Where he went 170 last year. Just the difference this year makes. I don't know if he's just still managing that ankle a little bit, but his time on ground just definitely jumped back up. So I think he's all fine to go. He just didn't do much else besides put his hands on the footy. So hoping for a big bounce back from him, but he's just so cheap now. Everyone's going to jump on him pretty quickly. So yeah. Also Sligo, 75. That's probably a bit unders from what I would have expected from a bit of an easier matchup as well. Not too worried about him in terms of trade outs or anything. He's got a pretty good run until his buy, so it's just worth holding him. But would like to see some more scores from him. Was happy with Sharp, 88. He just keeps getting it done. Like I said before, I'm just going to keep holding him. He's got a pretty good run. And Closey, I think most people had Closey on field, so 63 at the end of the day doesn't hurt too much. Moving into the ruck line, this is where I also got hurt quite badly, and you'd be surprised it's gone in English. Like one of the probably two of the best ruckmen besides Marshall in the competition, and they put up the lowest scores of the five. You got your Grundy, who went 105, I think. He went Xeri, who got just under a ton, and then you had Marshall, who just bloody blew everyone out of the water. So yeah, very disappointing, especially from an English who had their easiest matchup of a lifetime, where they, should have been an easy 130 plus. Put up at 80, half of what I was sort of expecting, and yeah, it's just unbelievable. Makes me wish I went back to Marshall after, trading him out all those rounds ago. So, but what can you do? Moving into the forward line, overall wasn't too disappointed with the forward line. McRae was probably 10 points under what I've sort of expected. 72 wasn't too good. Happy with Tom Powell. I'm just going to keep persisting with him. I know a few people have been concerned with him, but I'm just not. Nat 5 just keeps scoring like a rookie, and I made the stupid decision of taking Harvey Thomas's score over fielding Harley Reid. Just thought taking the safe 57 just because Harley Reid came up against a tough matchup in Melbourne to thought maybe he doesn't get his hands on the ball, but he was just electric in that game and put up his biggest score of the season so far. So that was a big one I missed, unfortunately. Cost me, 25 points? Yeah, so still, even if I fielded that, wouldn't have got me over the 2100. So what can you do? Team's just not performing as they should. on paper, I feel like it's alright. Just not performing the way I want. And yeah, sliding backwards very quickly, unfortunately. But we'll see what moves we can make to try and jump up, and really focusing on the buys now to try and move in the right direction. That's for sure. But just quickly reviewing my my trades from last week. So I did trade out Harry Sheasel. I know he did go what is it, 119, but I'm not too concerned with that, honestly. He had to go back in that second half after Bergman went out with an injury, so I would still be quite concerned if you own him that he's going to play mostly forward and in the midfield. He did have a bit of a jump in CBAs. I think he had 50%. So that's slightly better than like the 20 or 30% that we had saw the week prior. But yeah, he still doesn't look great to the eye in the midfield. So I don't know, just keep putting a watch on him. Yeah, glad he dropped 33k and will continue to drop if I need to jump back on him. But yeah, I was happy I picked up Luke Bryan at the end of the day. He scored the highest for me, and luckily I got the right option. I did put the C on him, so was happy I did that. He jumped up 31k as well. So overall, my trades was pretty solid. Like jumping off these two and got on to Oliver and Ryan, and both went up coin, and yeah, hopefully going to be keepers for a long time. But I think that's pretty much do it. I think we'll move into the round by round now, okay? So I'll try and get through this pretty quickly, and yeah. So first game was Gold Coast and the Cats. So Gold Coast upset the Cats. Over in Darwin, this is a super high scoring game, in terms of footy. Anderson, 142. You'd be pretty happy with him if you're still holding him after a couple poorer weeks. To put up 42 disposals, 2 goals. Just probably needs to get his marks and tackles up a bit more to have a huge ceiling score. But 142, if you had him in VC, you'd definitely taken that. Matt Rao had another strong outing with 35 touches and 10 disposals, 1 goal, 132. Yeah. Anyone that's still maybe holding him after the start of the season, I know he's probably been a bit lackluster in the last couple of weeks. Probably not a super big option. Sexy back is the topic of the week. I know a lot of people talking about him, and I'll probably get into him a little bit. I just think he's a great option. I thought he was a great option last week. I just couldn't facilitate it with my trades with what I was looking at. I ideally would have loved to pick up Sexton and Oliver, or Sexton and even Fisher last week, but maybe that's the move to make this week. I think try and pick up both of them if you can. If you can only pick up one, I'd probably pick up Sexton. Just the 100k difference there, and plus he's got a bit more of a run to his buy, a bit easier run I think, as well. So, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit later on, or even in the trade video later on this week. But yeah, I think he did super well. 126. You wouldn't have sort of expected that in the wet, but took 10 marks and just didn't. The whole team just absolutely obliterated them in terms of marking. Blanders just consistent. Really happy with him. Glad I picked him up a couple weeks ago, and yeah, he's just super consistent. Miller did what Miller does and just got sort of a lowish ton. You probably would have expected a little bit more in terms of this easy matchup. Just probably not super relevant anymore. I might even take him off the watch list. I'm not super keen on him anymore. The price just isn't there. And besides that, not relevant else. Obviously, a lot of people traded out Lukosius. He pretty much just said fuck you and put 5 goals on your head. So that's really frustrating for owners there. I know John Stone is a rookie, or like low, I think maybe 300, 400k. So could be an option there if you're interested. I'm just not 100% sure. I need to research him a bit more. What's his scores like? David Swallow, I know he's cheap as well. I think he's even 400k. I just want to know what his role was like. I know I don't know where he sort of sits. Definitely not in the midfield as much. Kicked 2 goals. I think it was just a super easy matchup, so I wouldn't probably be staying away from him. Closely, I'm pretty happy with him. He is getting closer to being his break-even, like 54, so you could probably make the move this week if you really wanted to. If that coin on his head gets you to the play you want, then I wouldn't mind moving him on. I'm even looking at something very similar this week if he can get me there. So yeah, don't mind that at all. But besides that, I think it's done for the Suns. Moving on to the Cats. Holmes, again, been a great starting pick. If you have him, just hold him. He's been awesome. 0 marks in this game, which was very surprising. This could have been a huge game for him, but he just got it done in the disposals. So, yeah, he's been awesome, and yeah, you definitely want to hold him. Myers, super consistent in terms of forward. If you have him, hold him. Even if you don't have him, then he's definitely a target. Probably not as big as a target as like Sexton or Fisher. I just think the value of those guys are a bit more prioritized than going up to, you know, a Myers, who I think is like 800k. Myers, pretty much 800k. Tougher matchup as well coming. So yeah, I'd probably prefer Sexton and Fisher there. Toby? Conway, whatever his first name is definitely a decent option if he can hold his spot. I'm just not sure if he will. I think they just managed Stanley, and obviously Stanley may come back in pretty quickly. But he played a pretty good game, so I hope they hold him, because I'd love to downgrade, you know, Conway. 450k, so I wouldn't only make 50k from a suite, so it's not super great. Yeah, it's quite frustrating actually. And Sweet may even be back this week after Dante wasn't great again. But yeah, I think he's a good downgrade option if you can grab him. Especially if he didn't go the Sweet option, then I definitely don't mind it. It's just the Sweet option maybe doesn't give you the cash that you're looking for, unfortunately, to do an upgrade on the other side. 50k isn't a whole lot to work with. Moving on, we've got Oliver Dempsey. Owners have been absolutely kissed with an 81. If you still have him, then you are absolutely kissed. I can't believe that. That is as me being a salty trader a couple of weeks ago. So, no, he's been a good hold, and I'll probably even just hold him through the buys now. He's going to be a consistent one to put on the bench, or can even come on the field for you just to, you know, provide a decent score over the buys. So, definitely wouldn't mind holding him there. Didn't kick any goals in that game, so I had 25 disposals, which is just ridiculous for him. Stewart's 21 disposals and only 55 points is very bizarre from him. He is just dropping like a rock at this point in time, and I would say just jump off while you can. I know he's like dropped under 700k, but there's still quite some sideway options. You probably go him to even a Fisher. I think it only cost you maybe 15k or something like that, and then maybe with some bank in the some cash in the bank, you can just go a rookie up to a Sexton. It's not. There's plenty of rookies that are quite close to 500k. So like a Reed, you could probably go straight up to him. That's only costing you 25k. I think Sexton's like 573 or something like that. So I definitely look at that option if you can. Yeah, definitely would be jumping off Stewart there. Ken Griffey's an interesting one. Subbed out pretty early on in the game, but it was only a tactical sub, so I'm not sure why they did that so early. Maybe they're just, you know, game was on the line. They needed to get him moved on, and a bit of management as well. So anyone that picked him up early would be very fuming, and it's a tough one because he's just going to be dropping cash now, and he doesn't look right. So maybe it's best just cut ties, use that money that's still in his head, and pick up some cheaper rookies. And Jai Clark came on as the sub and scored a 32, so made his break even. He actually made money, so crazy. Yeah, just a deadwood, unfortunately. Moving on to the Friday night game, we had Sydney Swans versus Carlton. Sydney Swans absolutely dominated them in the end. Over 52 points, that's crazy. Would have thought that would be much closer, but anyways, Heaney does what Heaney does. 3 goals, 24 touches, 8 tackles, still leading the Brownlow. Wouldn't be surprised if he still picks 3 points up in this game. So 125 fantasy points. Yeah, if you didn't jump on him already, then maybe it's time. He just seems like he's got that role locked, but he's just going to be a super easy hold for the year. Goulden's probably the next one. 116. You'd be pretty happy with that. Was looking to not be such a great one for him, but again, his work rate is just unbelievable. And I saw a interview with him, and he's actually trying and really pushing to play 100% game time, which is going to be interesting. So that would just make him on another level to everyone else. Like, he's already playing 95% of the time on ground. Just imagine that 100% doesn't come off at all. So he's not coming to the bench. He's just has access to points all the time. So he's high on my radar. I think I'll probably target him after the round 12 bye. I just need to sort of play around with. There's a few options I've got there. I've got what's it called? Zorko. I've got Dunkley, who are in round 12 as well. Sorry, I keep putting my hand up over this side. Dunkley, Zorko, Golden. I've floated the idea of Adams if he ever starts to pick up. I'm trying to think if everyone else there is. I probably should bring my spreadsheet up, but I can't really bother at the moment. So, yeah, he's definitely high up on the radar of picking up pretty shortly. So, happy with that. Grundy, for anyone that's still holding him, put up a 105. You'd be pretty happy with that in terms of all the other ruckmen this week. So, he's been a pretty good hold if you held him, through this early part of the season. He's just getting it done. So, he loves the SCG. Always seems to turn up at the MCG. So, yeah. That's something to keep in mind. Nick Newman had his classic jump up for a big game, and then he'll go quiet next week. So he's an interesting one to watch. Would love to have him a bit more consistent. Matt Kennedy popped up again for another big score with a 97 after he got some more midfield time, I believe. So, oh wait, what happened there? Give me 2 seconds. Let's quickly have a look at his CBAs. So yeah, he jumped back up to 70% again. So I know a lot of people are looking at him as a cheaper option. I think he's below 500k. Kennedy 650. So he's cheaper than a Fisher as well. Has forward status. My only concern is what is the timeline of these guys, like a Cottrell, a Chera, 3-4 weeks. That's not too bad. A Carroll, sorry, that was Carroll, not Cottrell. Obviously Doherty's out for the year. Pitnet played, Sarda's back soon, Williams played. This obviously isn't updated this week, so obviously being Monday night, so we'll get to know a bit more coming tomorrow. But I don't mind it. He'll get probably 3 or 4, or say 2 to 3 weeks out of him for sure until Chera's back, and Chera will definitely slot straight back into that side. Just have a looking here. Even though it's not too bad, honestly. Chera played last week and he still had 70%. So who did they take CBAs off of? They took them off Hewitt. So maybe it's not the worst case scenario. It's just there's so many midfielders in this team that they can change it week by week. Like even the week prior, when they were all playing again, it was Hewitt that played in the midfield and then Kennedy that went forward or whatever he did. So. And that results in their scoring just chop and changing. So it's a very big concern for me for sure. I don't mind it. I don't think their run's any good either. So let's have a quick look here. Yeah, look at that. Orange until the bye. So definitely would prefer some other options. If you're shopping for a forward, then definitely Sexton number 1, Fisher sort of second. Then maybe a Kennedy, and I think there's one more as well that we're looking at, but I'll get to that as I go through the list. Hamakai just popped up again, 93. Just seems obviously very up and down for a key forward. One you could look at, I guess, if he's dropped down in coin. Would probably keep an eye on if they have a good run in terms of like key forwards. Could definitely be an interesting one. Probably one I'm not paying too much attention to. Yeah, 2 very hard matchups this week, so probably one I'd avoid for now. Maybe in the back half of the year he might get a decent run. Doesn't look like it at this point in time. Where am I? Moving on, we got Cripps put up a 91. You're probably pretty happy with that if you're an owner. I don't think he's too highly owned. And had Sam Walsh, who got tagged by James Jordan. Just seems something that Jordan's going to do quite often now. So something to be mindful going forward. I think he has... who do they have next week? Oh, not the wrong one. Used to him being there. They have Western Bulldogs. So who does he tag there? I have a feeling that it'll probably be Trelaw. I don't think it'll be Bontempelli. Just I think Bont's probably too big and strong for Jordan type. He typically only tags these taller, skinny blokes. So maybe it's either a Dale. He's probably number one priority, the tag, or it's going to be a Trelaw, in my opinion. So yeah, big watch on that one. If you own any of those two, then be mindful. Yeah, but probably not worth trading out. It's going to be one week worth paying. And that's about it. Unfortunate for Sam Walsh owners. Yeah, he'll bounce back though. Wouldn't be too concerned with that. Moving on to the Saturday game. First Saturday game, Pies v Crows. Pies got the chips over that one. Jack Crisp put up another decent score again. I know a few people are looking at him. I'm still just of the opinion that as soon as the likes of Tom Mitchell are back, then his role is just diminished. So I wouldn't be looking there. He'll go to that halfback role where he just absolutely stinks. So what the hell happened here? Wait. I'm going to take this all back. So even though De Goey came back, he played 0% CBAs. That is weird. That's so weird. Pettlebury went back into the midfield, so at 93%. Yeah, that's very unusual. Maybe it's something, if it's going to stick, you could probably make the risk, but I don't see Tom Mitchell playing anywhere else. He has to have some midfield time, so that's definitely going to decrease someone's CBA use, and I would say it'd probably be Pettlebury's first. Just normally he plays a bit closer to 50%. But yeah, it's very unusual that De Goey had 0. So maybe it's worth one more watch this week. If this role sticks and De Goey plays a bit more forward again, then I don't mind it, honestly. It's obviously he can score. We have seen him in past couple of years where he was D1 for a long time. So I don't mind it at all. Just probably one to be skeptical with. Nick Dacos had 41 touches. Probably just needs to get a few more marks and tackles to have a real big game. But 115, you're not mad at that. His price is definitely going up. So be able to pick him up under 900k was definitely a bargain. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't pick him up of the week. Too many rack issues. The rookies, the three rookies did all very similar. Richards did 62, Sullivan did 55, and McRae did 54. I think Richards is still the cheapest of the lot, and he's probably the one I'd pick up now, especially because Hoskin Elliott went down with an injury. Definitely a big watch for me next week. Tomorrow, to see what his timeline is. I'm not 100% sure what that knee injury was. Was it a knee injury? I'm not sure. I just said that instinctively. What that injury was. Obviously, we got the likes of Brody Myercheck coming back possibly this week, if not next week. So does that then replace him? Probably not. They'll probably instantly just sort of swap straight for Myercheck, and that keeps Richard inside anyway. Who else are we looking at? Maybe Jeremy Hound, 1 to 2 weeks as well. He was played forward a little bit in the last game, but he's traditionally a backman, so it'd be interesting to see that role. De Goey obviously played. Carmichael back probably next week as well if he plays. I don't think he's played a game in the seniors yet so far this season, so I'm not too worried about him. But yeah, I definitely don't mind it. His job security seems like it should be pretty good, just given the injuries at the moment. So he's under 300k, so I don't mind him at all. And I think he's what's his name? Richards. I think his break even's pretty low, negative 14. So yeah, he's definitely one I'd pick up this week if you didn't already pick him up. I'll rank all the rookies to pick up in my trades video on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. But we'll keep moving on here. So if you picked up any of those, you'll be pretty happy. They all did pretty well and making some money for you. Moving on to Adelaide, so we had Crouch and Dawson absolutely kill it, 119 and 117 together. Obviously really good options. Crouch has quietly been doing really well, and if you could pick him up over a Laird, I'd definitely do that. Just looks like he's gone past him, unfortunately. Laird's battling something because his time on ground just unreal at the moment. You don't see this from one of the best players in the competition. So I've heard the likelihood that it could be some, badly bruised ribs and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's definitely battling something because that's not usual for him. 65 for Crouch. I think the game, just the way that played, unfortunately got caught on the bench a few times. So, expect that to jump back up to 75% where he sort of sits. But he's just a points per minute beast. He just gets it done no matter what. Still like Dawson as a good pickup. Obviously has a great run. Especially a good buy as well if you don't have that many guys on that buy. My boy Saligo was, like I said, a little bit disappointing. 75. I thought he would have done a lot better. Just had 24 touches. Just didn't really do much else with the ball. Like didn't have any tackles. Barely had any marks. So even that mark that he did take, it wasn't like a teammate spotted him out. It was a intercept possession. So yeah, he's just not one that they want to kick to, unfortunately. But I'm hoping he does alright, sort of like 70s, 90s to 100s in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So fingers crossed he comes good for me and I can trade him out at his buy at a bit more expensive price. But I think that's about it for that. The Crows there. Let's move on to the Saturday afternoon game in GWS versus Western Bulldogs. The Western Bulldogs got the win there in a surprising upset, I would have thought. Haynes is one that probably needs a bit more discussion because he is down at 600k, and I know some people are looking at him. He's gone 82 and 115 since coming into the side, so it's not too bad. Again, round 12 bye, so be careful there. I know a lot of people have like a Sheasel, a Whitfield already, so that's already 2 on your back line. You probably could move Sheasel in. No, Sheasel's just a pure defender, isn't he? Sheasel and midfield. Now he's just a pure defender, so you don't have any flexibility with any of them because Haynes is pure defender as well. So you gotta be real careful. I think 3 on the same line is definitely too many. So be careful with that. But yeah, I definitely think he'll earn some coin at his price. What's his run like in terms of? Did he have it? Oh my god. Duplicate. Let's quickly go. Let's have a quick look at their kick-ins as well. Did he have any kick-ins? Where is GWS? No, he did not. So he's not quite on that level yet. They definitely prefer Whitfield. And Whitfield just had 14. That's ridiculous. No wonder he scored alright. Yeah. What's that? 14 times 3 is 42. So 42 extra points from kick-ins. That is ridiculous. That is broken. Yeah. So I don't mind Haynes as an option if you're shopping in that range. Like I said, I just don't know what his security is like in that side or his run. Let's have a quick look at. He's not a designated kick out. He's the general defender, Western Bulldogs. So yeah, I don't know if you want him after the buys, honestly, but yeah, probably not. But if you're desperate, I don't mind him at all. He's definitely going to make some coin. Moving on, who else do we have? Whitfield did alright, like I said. He just saved it with all the kick-ins, so a little bit disappointing there. Would like him to get a lot more open space and get some marks, but just not getting it at the moment. Canelio's not really putting his hand up. Hogan's been pretty quiet. Not too bad so far at the start of the season. Probably not looking at him either. Green, obviously, we spoke about him already. Just plenty of disposals. Just didn't really get any marks or tackles, unfortunately. Hopefully he comes back this week against the Cats. So I do think he's a really good option if you're wanting to jump early. He is under 800k, so definitely don't mind the pickup there. I know he has a break even of like 122, but he could instantly break that this week and put like a 140 on your head. So definitely don't mind you jumping on him this week if your buy structure allows it. If not, just target him after buy. It's pretty straightforward, I would have thought. Harvey Thomas, I do like as well in terms of just holding. I think his job security is going to be pretty good over the next sort of 5 to 6 weeks into the buys, just given the injuries that these guys have had. So I don't mind him there, especially now that Darcy Jones went down with a hamstring injury. He should be pretty cemented in that side. Even the likes of Peatling, I know he's not listed here, but I'm looking at Peatling again this week, just given that, Darcy Jones is out, so they need someone to go on the wing, and Peatling's been playing that role all this season, so he should come straight back in and provide a decent option for us. Obviously, -10 break even, so do not forget about him. 444k, so shop around there if you're interested. Yeah, he's probably an easy one to get up. Like get a Sexton and a Peatling together in for 2 rookies, so that could be pretty much two upgrades in one. Definitely don't mind that. Besides that, Cadman needs to go, and Darcy Jones unfortunately is now deadwood because he's injured. Probably will be 3 to 4 weeks, and then he has to break back into the side again, unfortunately. Moving on to the Dogs, we've got Ed Richards, who top scored for them with a 97, so really low scoring game in terms of what the Dogs normally produce. I think GWS is just a bit more restrictive, unfortunately. I do like Richards, especially because the unknown about the whole liver situation with him being out indefinitely is, you think that's pretty much self signs that he's going to be out for quite a while. So that this spot for him is pretty much his, and he's already made it his own. We saw last week where he went 140, so he definitely has the scoring potential. Where are we looking to go? So definitely don't mind it at all. Obviously, he is quite cheap if you're looking for that option. 88. So yeah, he's pretty much number one midfielder. Like last couple of weeks, he's been unreal. What the other thing I like about him, obviously being that normal halfback distributor, is that the defenders look for him and they give him marks. So like he had 6 marks. So that's the highest in the team, and it's highest of all the midfielders. So you're talking Trelaw only had 1, Bontempelli only had 2. So he's the one they go to for the extra kick. So I do really like him as an option. What is he priced at? Richards, 700k. So he's getting up there now in terms of price. But if you're shopping in that range, like I know a few people are looking at Will Day, he's only I think 12k cheaper than a Richards. So maybe go with a Richards rather than a Day who's in a struggling team, right? So I don't mind him that at all. What's his run like? So I always like to refer to the run just so to make sure it's a good pick. Just when all 3 line up is just a great trade, but very rarely happens. Not the greatest run in terms of, one harder one and then a real hard one. No real easy ones in there, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, he's underpriced and going to make some money and can put up some decent scores for you in what even GWS was the hardest matchup last week, but still put up a 97, right? In an easy matchup, like the week before, he put up a 140 or something like that. So that's just the range. If a 197 is going to be his floor, then that's absolutely, you take that. The only flag with him, obviously, he did have this role in weeks prior. I think it was against St Kilda and Fremantle, and he scored 70. So that is possible. Let me just double check that if I was correct. Yeah, Fremantle and St Kilda did have that role. So there's definitely a world of possibility that he does go back to sort of these 70s. But yeah, he's definitely improved in this role as he's got more experience in it. So definitely a riskier play, but I don't mind it at all. If you're keen on him, back you get at the end of the day. If you've seen him and you think he's a good pick, then just do it. Trelaw just gets it done again. 94, a little bit underwhelming, but at the end of the day, this is just what the team did. You look at him being the number 2 scorer in the game, in the team, you wouldn't be too disappointed with that. English, we spoke about him already, just really disappointing. Got absolutely outmuscled in terms of hit-outs and just didn't really do much around the ground either. So just looked lazy, unfortunately, for me as an owner. So, yeah. Dale was disappointing with 73. Still making money, though, so you probably worth, if I'd probably worth holding on to him because I think you want to still be upgrading around him. You still want to be getting rookies off field, getting ready for the buy. So definitely don't mind him there. McRae 72 lost all his CBA role now, so not too concerned there at all. 72, not too bad. Why do I keep doing that? He gets his hands on the ball. Obviously, he can do that. It just doesn't seem to do anything else, unfortunately. Bontempelli, putrid. I wish I never started him, but what can you do? I'm going to just keep holding him now until I get to luxury season. I can trade his ass out. what's his name? Fraser scored a 51 if you picked him up last week. He's was pretty good. Probably lower down on my terms of trade-in targets, just given the depth. Like, they got bloody Sanders still in the twos. That's racking it up. So he could be dropped at any point for a Sanders. So be one to watch there. Moving on to the St Kilda and Fremantle game. I should have grabbed some water. I didn't. Marshall, top scorer of the round, 171. Absolutely killed again. 31 disposals, 7 marks, 9 tackles, 39 bloody disposals, 92% time on ground. The way he's turned this around, going from, he's injured and he's looking really poor, he's just absolutely turned around and be like, nah, here I am. And I'm just going to take everything out the ruck. So not only is he getting the hit outs, he's also just, grabbing it out of the ruck and absolutely kicking it. So he is unreal at the moment, and if you're looking for an upgrade into the ruck department, then you definitely want to grab him. I know he's over $1 million now, but he is just skyrocketing at this point in time, and when he can go 170s, why not? And these aren't super easy matchups either. Like, even his next couple aren't too bad, I think. Melbourne and West Coast, and got a couple harder ones, but I don't think it really matters to him in terms of matchups at this point in time. Did have a couple of easier ones, saying Hawthorn and Fremantle, so 2 very green ones, even one before that, but I still think he's a great option. That was it. No, man. Yeah, he's just unreal at this point in time, and he has destroyed my season solo, so yeah. Very disappointing as a previous owner, and really just validates what I was thinking, that this is what I think he could have done, and the reason why I picked him up in round 5. Just, unfortunately got injured and made the stupid decision to trade him out for Sweet. So, I really wish that Sweet just didn't come in and didn't put up an 80, or I wouldn't have traded him out, or just stuck to my guns and had Sweet on the bench. I just sort of got talked into the fact that Sweet shouldn't be wasted on the bench, and let the other people's judgment get the better of me, unfortunately, there. Sinclair, repaid the faith that for those that traded him in last week after that very poor score. I think it was like a 60, so you'd be very pleased if you own him. Hopefully he can continue. I think his role was still really good, so no concern there. It was just like a poorer matchup last week. So, the matchups has dropped down, so 24% now. But he can score like anywhere, so just obviously watch him. Obviously we have seen him drop, lower scores in the past with like now that Bonner and what's his name, Wangani Miller are sort of the main guys back there. So just be mindful of that. And that was the sort of flag that I presented when I thought people picking him up. Wangani, Miller, and Bonner just keep getting it done. Who would have thought Bonner would be this good of a pick? He's just unbelievable. What has he gone up now in terms of cash? 333k. Super glad I jumped on him in round 1. If anyone that started him, it's been an awesome pick. Probably worth just holding him for a little while longer yet. Maybe at his buy you can move him on, but he's just been around about, so it's top 6 defender at this point in time, so he's been awesome. Jack Steele, pretty disappointing, 77, so he was another primo that was just underdone. Tackled his way to 77, dropping a coin now. Again, probably not worth jumping off, just, trying to get yourself ready for buys, and he can turn it around at any point. There was a social media post that's saying he is managing some knee soreness, as we know he commonly does, but there's no strapping, which is an interesting scenario. So, hoping he just comes good again for those that own him. Windhager, if you picked him up, when Brad Crouch went down, he's been a really good option. I think he's made over 150k, average closer to 80, 85, so he's been a really good option. Maybe it's time to move him on now, or just hold him to the buy. I think that's a great option. I think Brad Crouch, whereabouts is he? He's far off. He's a test. He was a test. Did he play? He did play. No, he didn't play. I think he played in the VFL, so yeah, definitely a big watch. If he comes back, then maybe it's time to move on the likes of a Windhager, because that CBAs could definitely drop off. But in saying that, he is also sort of the second CBA holder at the moment with Seb Ross not even in the team, so maybe he stays in the side. Obviously, Paddy Dow came back in. He's probably one I need to mention in here that I didn't have marked. He had a really good first quarter. He had, I think he was on like 48 at half time, and then just had a really poor second half. Low time on ground as well. I think he just got really managed a lot, obviously, first game back. So he's one to watch in the future for sure. I think he definitely has a scoring potential. Just with the management, I reckon it's not worth touching just now. I'd say he plays next week, so his role will only get better. I would have thought he will be a main CBA attendee. So big watch there for me. I think that'll be about it for the St Kilda. Moving on to the Freo. There were some big scores here. So Jordan Clark absolutely went bang, repaying the faith for those that endured that 60 from him last week after James Jordan tagged him. So 141. Finally broke the ton. He hasn't broke the ton yet this season, and he absolutely blitzed it. So hopefully this is sort of the floodgates for him, and he can just, be a bit more consistent with higher, getting over that 100 mark. So we know he can do it, and he looked really good in this game. Teammates were always looking for him. Plenty of marks. Also tackled a lot. So yeah, this was one that was really good. Even in his tackles, he looked like he wanted the ball. He was really thirsty. So he's also been a great pick from the start. Luke Ryan, my boy, I picked him up. 126. You're pretty happy with that. His break-even's pretty low, so if you're looking for a defender, I don't mind him as well. You are paying for him, unfortunately, and over 900k now, so but his run is also really good in terms of defenders. Let's have a quick look here. Fremantle, so he's got wrong one. Collingwood, and then Melbourne into his bye, and then even after the bye, it's pretty decent for a 6-game stretch until he comes against a tougher matchup. So hopefully, sort of luxury season. Round 20, I'll be moving him on to say, someone else. So we'll come across that bridge when we get there. Where was I? Sorry. 13 marks in that. And what kick-ins did he have? I think he had so many kick-ins. Maybe not as many as 4 only took 3 out, so that's pretty frustrating. But yeah, this can get a lot higher. That was probably on his lower end. 4's his lowest so far, and Jordan Clark took a couple as well, so he can definitely bump those numbers up. Should move that there. Jackson, for anyone that's still holding him, put up a 116. You're pretty happy with that, especially if you needed him as a fill-in for those that had Sweet as R2. Would be trading him in. Shrek should be back this week. Hayden Young put up 108. You're just consistent. Top 6, so yeah, pretty consistent with him. Happy with him there. Sarong scraped to a 103. I did cop a bit of attention, I thought, from Windhager. So yeah, definitely could have been a lot bigger from him. But yeah, I think he's fine. You just hold him. Goodbye. So probably not one I'd pick up at this point in time, just given the difficulty he has. Brayshaw scraped to 94. I think he had a really poor last quarter again. Just runs out of steam so quickly. I don't know sure what's going on there. Sharp keeps getting it done. 88. Continued rising in price. It's crazy to think that, you can pretty much upgrade a Sharp to a green, and it's not even... It's just over 100k right now, but come sort of round 13, it'll probably be less than 100k, honestly. So, yeah, definitely look one to hold on to him. If you don't have him, then don't trade him in. He's not worth it. And at 5 down there. 23 touches, just no marks, no tackles, 61. Yeah, really frustrating. Really frustrating. Moving on to the next game. Can we just skip over this game? Because I own absolutely no one in this game, and it was a really tough watch. Zorko killed it. He is just the difference at the moment for most people. If you don't own a Zorko, your season is struggling because there is no one else in the forward line doing what he is doing, and there's no one, even remotely getting close to him. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, you're talking, he's week on week, he's pretty much putting 60 to 70 points on top of, like a McRae or a Fife or even, the likes of Myers and shit like that. So he is just absolutely destroying anyone's season that doesn't have him. He is now over $1 million. Where is he? Oh, probably should go by price. He's the most expensive player so far. 1 million and 1.2 million, which is 1.02 million, which is just ridiculous. Still has an amazing run. I know he does have the bye in the next week after that. I hope he gets tagged this week. I pray to God that he does. I hope my boys put bloody fin on him and clamp the shit out of him and breaks his legs. Honestly, he's been too good, and I hate looking at the screenshots that I have that I was going to pick him up in round 3, but I was too chicken to do it. Just giving the body. Just wish I did it, but it is what it is. I just think he needs to turn around at some point, and as soon as I trade him in, he's going to turn around. So be careful in round 13 when I possibly trade him in, and he's just going to go absolute shit house. That's enough about him. 15 marks is also ridiculous, but against bloody Tigers, it's no surprising, honestly. Neil popped up for his traditional big game against easy opponents. He's just a flat track bully. Dunkley, pretty disappointing for what was an super easy matchup. Thought he would do a bit better. Just didn't really, he relies on tackles a little bit more. And when the opponents don't have the ball, he can't tackle anyone. So, that's why he didn't sort of make my captains, unfortunately. Lohman kicked the bag, and anyone that picked him up a couple of weeks ago would be absolutely cheering. I think he's over 500k now, so he's been a super awesome pick in terms of rookies. He's very unique. What is he? Less than 3%. So he's been awesome, man. Anyone that jumped on him, you'd be absolutely cheering. There's always that one of those rookies that gets that goes when he's super lowly owned, and that's what sort of makes the differences. For example, probably uses too much, but what's his name? Jaden Hunt for me last year. I think he was like less than 3% owned at the start of the season. He went up over 300k, and he was just like a hold until the mid-season buys. He was awesome for that, and I think he started at 300k, so very similar to Lohman, very lowly owned, and just kept getting it done, and no one would have jumped on him because they were scared. So, but Lohman being a rookie, you're probably not going to jump on him. He's not going to do that every week. Moving on. Revel, we picked him up. I think that's the only one else that's sort of worth mentioning there. McCluggage got injured. I didn't see that. Be interesting to see who sort of filled in the role there. Because he only had 30%, then it looked like Berry picked him up. Yeah, okay. What did Berry score? 78, so not worth jumping on just yet. Maybe see how long-term McCluggage is out. But Berry may become an option if it is long-term. But, yeah, you can probably what is he priced at, Berry? 855, yeah, that's a bit pricey for a Berry, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not touching that. Revel, if you picked him up, has been a good option. He's probably still a good option this week. I know he's over 300k, but his job security is very good. So, definitely don't mind him there. And then we're just not really looking at anyone from the Richmond. They are shithouse. Bolton did very poor. Did okay, 87. Not too worried about that. And McAuliffe, I think is how you pronounce it, scored a 61 in his first sort of full game. I think he's been the sub previous to this, so definitely shows he has a scoring potential. So don't mind picking him up. I think he's a lot cheaper. I think he's like 244. So if you're strapped for cash, I definitely think he's a good option. Only mid only though, so keep that in mind. But yeah, we'll keep moving on. So I was going to do this quick, but somehow we're at 50 minutes already. God damn. Alright. Essendon, Caldwell did really good. Obviously, we saw a jump in CBAs with Parrish being a late out with calf tightness, so that was pretty disappointing in terms of Parrish owners. Obviously I recommended him quite highly in 2 weeks prior, and he's been absolute shit, and now he's been out, so that's just the cruel world of fantasy sometimes. They look like good options, they present a lot of value, and then they just absolutely stink it up. And surprisingly, they're carrying injuries, so no surprise there really. His time on ground's been shocking, so all the signs are sort of on the wall, unfortunately. That just wish the clubs would be a bit more formal with these things, being like, oh, he's managing something. They obviously wouldn't pick him up, would we? So, yeah. But Caldwell, you'd be pretty happy with that in terms of his output, especially in the forward line. So, he's been a good hold, and just watch Parrish, whether he comes back or not. You're not moving him on anyway, but yeah. Just expect some lower scores if he does. Martin is an interesting one because he moved forward in this game. I think he moved forward at like half time or something like that. So still scraped to a 95, so you're pretty happy with that. But yeah, definitely a bit of a concern if he does play there a bit more often. I don't think he will. Maybe just every now and then when, they need him to, just to provide something different. But his role has been in the back line this entire season and in the preseason. So I doubt they're just going to throw that away so quickly and be like, oh well, you provide something up forward, let's use you up forward. No, I don't think that will happen. I think they'll be pretty consistent. And Merritt copped a bit of attention from the likes of Liam Schultz, I believe, is the story. I didn't actually get to watch this game. I was attending the Hawthorn game, which was probably the next game. So, yeah, couldn't actually watch this game. But, yeah, really disappointing in terms of what he should have been able to do. Now he's just bottoming out in cash, and it's going to be a good pickup for those that want to get him in round 14, round 15, I think. He's round 14 by, so round 15. Yeah, it'd be super cheap for you guys. Does have Richmond this week, so he's definitely going to probably bounce back pretty quickly, unless they decide to tag him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks that this week, and he'd be highly in my captain's considerations. No one else really here from Essendon, I don't think. What's going to do there? No, that's about it. I know some people picked up, like Bales picked up Goldstein. That's a pretty poor effort from him. 45, that would have hurt. Yeah. Moving on, we've got Fisher. So Fisher put up a 121. Obviously a really good option this week. Looking at his run. Well, I think we looked at it already, didn't we? Quickly, again. Port, and then goes by, and then West Coast into it. But after that is pretty good. So even if you want to wait until after his buy, he'll still be pretty, I think it'd be 700, say 730k. Then you can probably jump on him again. So don't mind that at all. He's hopefully going to be a pretty consistent 100 sort of guy at this point in time. Obviously getting plenty of kick-ins. They love to give them the ball, just looking at the way they give it to him. So yeah, I think he's a great option. Just probably not this week, given they have a poor. But if you can make it both work, Sexton and Fisher, then absolutely do it, I think. I'm definitely trying to in my team. What am I looking at? This one. Sheasel, we already spoke about him a little bit. Obviously, he did play a lot more forward in the first half, but then Bergman got injured, so he got flipped backwards. So, where is Bergman? Why don't I see him? He's on the bench. They didn't say he was out for some reason, but yeah, he definitely didn't play the second half. So, yeah, they put Sheasel back, and that's where he scored most of it. So, I think he had like I think he had like a 60 or 70 point second half. So that's just the Sheasel we know in the back half. He can absolutely rack it back up there. Just need his role to be consistent. Big watch this week. If Bergman is out for an extended period of time, then who else have they got to go back there? So maybe he does spend this week back there as well. So probably not one I'd probably be looking at moving on just yet. Just given that maybe the role is a bit more secure. Obviously, listen to McKercher as well. If he's back, I doubt it. But yeah, definitely could be he will be a concern later down the track. So hopefully for those owners, they gets him through to lottery season where you can just easily flick him. But for me, I'm hoping he just stinks up pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Goddamn, I need a drink. X-Area got it done again. Probably just holding him to his buy now. Not too concerned there. Is dropping a bit of coin, but he's better than the other rocks. So Probably not a super priority to move on just yet. Powell was happy with him. Scott obviously was the one that moved back into the defensive line and provided that McKercher role, so he did really well there. A bit expensive though. I think he's like 800k, 770. So sorry, 700k. So looking at the wrong price there. Just yeah, probably not going to be super long in that role until the McKercher injury is a bit more certain. So again, maybe one to look at after the bye. And my man Toby Pink played and scored a 42. He played a bit forward though. He scored a 1-goal-1, so not sure what's going on there. Maybe they're making him as a makeshift forward. Hopefully that means he's getting more game time. I'm fingers crossed. Besides that was pretty much about it. Yeah. 2 more games to go. The game that shall not be spoken about. Hawthorn lost to Port with a last-minute goal within 5 seconds to go. Unbelievable. I was at the game, and I was heartbroken. I couldn't believe it. That was rough as guts. I thought we had it. 44 seconds. We were 11 points up. Free kick went to Rioli. He slotted it instantly and sent a bounce straight into the forward line. Socketed through for a goal. Bloody hell, Hawthorn. What are you doing? Can't be too upset. I was happy with the boys' effort, and these losses are only going to make the boys stronger. So, yeah, really happy that they are going to learn some lessons out of this game. But anyways, we're here to talk fantasy, not about my shit Hawthorn experience. Houston had a really good game. They just had no answer for him. He just kicked 3 goals, and yeah, they just didn't really want to stop him at all. Butters really racked it up in that last quarter. I think he had a 49-point last quarter, and that was one of the reasons why he got over the line. So, yeah, if you have him, he's been really good. Still definitely a decent option. Burgoyne, if you jumped on him a fair few weeks ago, he was nearly below 400k, but he's now over 650, so he's made a lot of coin. Ollie Wines was the one that was interesting. He got subbed out for anyone that jumped on him or had him over the last couple of weeks. He had been putting up some really good scores for you, but unfortunately his heart has been having some heart issues with palpitations, which we have seen previously from him. Just, yeah, had a bit of a bump, and apparently he's good to go for next week, so maybe he's worth even holding again. Hopefully he isn't managed though. We know how Port love to manage their players, and they say they're ready to go. So, bit of a watch there, but yeah, keep watching on the list. And no one really here to talk about Hawthorn. Obviously, Dylan Moore, 62, but pretty disappointing. Didn't kick any goals, got pretty clamped in this game, so that's just what happens. Newcomb, not really looking at him just yet, and Awon did okay as well in this role. Will Day is probably the one that we need to speak about, even Meek, for those that are looking at him as a cheaper ruck option. Day, I do like the option. I know he has dropped about 150k. Obviously, we know what he did last year. Sorry, but 136k, put up his best score so far, and in the last sort of fortnight has shown he has some scoring potential. Definitely jumped up this week in terms of his output. Just 27 disposals in what was a very hard matchup, whereas last week it was only 22 disposals. But kicked the goals well, so I do like him as an option, especially at that price range. It's obviously cheaper than the likes of an Oliver. So if you already got an Oliver, you can only get to Will Day. I don't mind it. And this is obviously assuming that you already have like a Sexton, a Fisher, and shit like that. He could be the one that you could jump on early, and he could be one that most people jump on next week. The only thing I wanted to look at is his run. Obviously, I don't think they have the greatest run in terms of midfielders. Brisbane and Adelaide, then GWS, then Richmond. So definitely that Richmond game is appealing. And then even after his bye, he's got Adelaide and West at Geelong. So yeah, I don't mind it. I definitely think it's actually a good option at his price range. He's obviously coming back from injury, so his time on ground has definitely improved. Yeah, Becky Gutton I think is definitely a good option Probably not above Sexton and Fisher for me, but I definitely think he's probably a good option next week even. So one I'll be keeping an eye on. And Lloyd Meek, what is his price at? Not that I want anyone to be messing around with the rucks, but he has been so good since he's been taking over this role. 3 tons on the trot, which is ridiculous. So against English, against Marshall, and now against Vizentini and what's his name? Dixon. So he's just absolutely getting so many hit outs at the moment, which is ridiculous. So he's got the Big O this week. I think Big O's playing, and then he's got Riley O'Brien, then he's got Briggs, and then he's got what's his name? What's his name? I can't remember. So it's a pretty good run if you're looking for a ruckman. I definitely don't mind that at all. Probably not one that people are looking at, but say an Albayos has a Goldstein, could definitely look at picking him up. What price is he at though? 700k. So yeah, still definitely a cheaper option. And what's Goldstein priced at? 500k. Goddamn. Yeah, still looking at 200k there. Even a Sweet going up to a what's his name? A Meek. So that's probably enough Meek chat. Let's move on to the last game of the week with West Coast beating Melbourne at Perth, which was crazy. Only real person we're talking about here. I know Waterman's been really good, but still not looking at full forwards unless their forward run is really good. And it's not too bad actually. Got St Kilda's and North in the next 3. I don't know, it's just not one I'm not really looking at. What is he priced at as well? Just like 800k, yeah, I'm not touching that. Especially when you got the likes of Sexton and Fisher, so not looking there. So obviously Reed scored an 82, Brady bet his break even of 63. His break even now is back in the 50s, I want to say, 58. So it's probably worth another hold again this week. Got the Crows, so hopefully he does another good score for you if you're fielding him. I probably will as well. So yeah, definitely not mind that there. No one else really worth chatting about. Oliver put up a 94. Really happy with that, especially because he copped a bit of attention in this game. I think it was from... Who was it? I can't remember now. I can't remember who put a bit of attention into him. Was it a Jimby? Jimby is a pretty hard one to deal with. I'll just say it's Jimby. I can't remember exactly. But I definitely copped a bit of attention in this game. So hopefully he can continue his great form. Salem's still on the watch list from early on in the season. Did have a pretty good role. Probably not one I'm looking at just yet. He is very cheap though. He is like close to 600k, so not too bad there. Gorn had a very underperforming game. I know a lot of people had him as C, so that's a very poor game from him. Very up and down, looked lazy, unfortunately. Had 20 disposals, just not really... He's not a tackling man. He just doesn't tackle. I don't know why. That's just the only thing he doesn't add to his game, whereas all these other ruckmen are just tacklers. So, really frustrating from him. And is there a potential that we eventually move him on? I don't want to say it, but there's definitely a potential that we have to look at if Gore needs to go at some point. So don't get too comfortable with him. He may need to go at some point. I'm not looking to move him on at any point of stage, but he's definitely a possibility. Petrarca still is playing shit. Definitely not looking at him. And then Howes put up a 50, so definitely better his break even, going up in money, but given that, the likes of McVee, Bowie's now back, even obviously Rivers there as well. Now Salem's back as well, so yeah, his output is definitely going to drop. It's one thing I didn't sort of expect. I didn't realise Salem was back this week, so I thought he would score better. So he's one I probably want to get off field now. I don't want to be risking him on field, so but it's probably so I don't mind moving him on actually, but I think he'll be pretty safe to be he'll be in the team until his round 14 bye, so you probably want to hold him to that point, especially with a good run. So he's got St Kilda this week, so don't mind him. If I can loop him, I'll do that. I haven't really looked at the structure, but that's all the games for this round. Let's have a quick look at what I'm going to do this week and how we're structuring up. So this is my team. You know you're in trouble when Zach Butters is your number one midfielder. That is very bad signs, but here's what it is. Got a lot of 700k midfielders, so not great there. So what am I looking at doing? So I've played with, there's a couple of different options, but I'll only show you two here. So looking on moving on Sweet, just because I think he's sort of dead weight on my bench at this point in time. Especially if it doesn't get named, he's definitely gone for me. Just no point having 50k on the bench. And I will move Barnett into the ruck line. And then I'll also move on Will Graham if he isn't named. I think he should be back this week, but who knows. Then I would pick up like Sexton. And I've played with the idea of Peatling. What's his name? Pete. I can afford both of those, so I definitely don't mind him. Especially with the likes of him maybe getting that roll back that he had not too long ago. With obviously Kelly out for a little while. Wait, who are they? Who's playing for? GWS. So obviously Callum Ward played a fair bit of that role. You got Kelly who's now out. Callahan played some midfield time. Even Daniels played some mid CBS. So they are crying out for like someone to really come in and take that role. And I do think Peatling is that guy. So if he is named this week, he is high on my radar to pick up. Maybe even more so over the likes of Richards and those cheaper guys. If these two get named, then there's definitely a world there. I may just go with a Campbell who's injured at the moment, and even who was his? Even a Howes could go, but definitely it could be these two as well. And then I don't have the cash for Peatling, and then it could just be a Richards. So that's the different options that I'm looking at. Obviously, this would need to change to make it suit, but yeah. That would just pretty much allow me to have Sexton on field over a Reed or even over a Howes, and then I'm running just 3 rookies at the time. So I only got the 4 rookies currently. Obviously downgrading to 3 is not too bad, but then you've also got 5 who's scoring as a rookie and the likes of many others. So hopefully the team moves along nicely. In terms of bench health, hoping Graham comes back this week. I do think he is good to go. He got managed from both VFL and AFL, so that should spell pretty much a game pretty shortly for him. Garcia played well on the 2, so he might earn his spot back as well. Clark. I need to move him on eventually. He'll be the first one to go in my buys. Just given the 3 trades, I can just move him on, take the 120k off his head, and move him on. There's every chance that Sweet comes back in this week, given that Vizentini had a pretty poor game against Meek, which we all sort of expected, honestly. Vizentini's a 4th game and up against Lloyd Meek, who's a beast of a man, so that's a poor coaching selection from Hinkley there. So he probably will come back in this week. One watch will be on the Port Adelaide injury report with how Soto is tracking. Obviously, it's at 2 to 3 weeks last week, so maybe that's now down to 1 to 2. And you think if it's 1 to 2, that just pushes him through to the mid-season bye, which is in 2 weeks' time. So then you get two games at a Sweet, and then he makes probably say 80k. So probably worth holding on if he plays, but playing around with different options there. Like I said, I think Harvey Thomas plays. It'll be pretty consistent now with his job security, given the injuries there. I think Seth Campbell will come back after next week with the injury. He had a knee injury that was listed 1 to 2 weeks, and I think he should be back this week. See here, 1 to 2 weeks last week. So maybe if he's not back this week, then he may be back next week. So I don't mind holding him as well. It's just that he's got a point on his head, and I can move him on and get another guy in who is playing. So he's probably my number 1 to move on this week. Obviously not moving on Barnett. He's just my VC loop for the year. But overall, I think the bench health is not too bad. I think a lot of these guys have potential to come back. So, but I think that'll sort of leave it today, guys. Hopefully I've chatted through plenty of the options and given you some thoughts. Pretty much just to recap, I think Sexton's the number 1 trade-in target this week. Pretty straightforward there. Obviously going to make some money. So if you don't, Fisher will be number 2. He's going to make some good money and obviously a lot better scoring, 100 be a pretty consistent 100 guy. We've spoke about the likes of Kennedy and even a Will Day and stuff like that. So hope there's plenty of good options and plenty of value options out there for you to consider this week. Go through all your normal procedures. But we'll talk more through those trading targets in my next target video on Wednesday. So I'll talk to you guys then. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.